I had, bed, kitchen, everything in this room. Like, it was the smallest studio apartment ever, and I was just trying to hustle meals out of there.
Yeah, I think we should just hit roll, because we can just talk about
for
this.
Like 3 minutes now.
You have been? Okay, so we're cooking. Okay, cool.
Yeah, nice.
So can I do a quick intro?
Yeah.
So Coov's cooking. Not Cov's cooking. Coov's cooking. Pumping out the meals and looking after the boys. All the boys are loving them here too. We keep some in the fridge, and I eat them myself. I'm like staying on weight because of you, basically. So I'm keeping it healthy. So
that's what's up.
I guess just tell us, like, how'd this whole thing get started? Like we talked before we started rolling about, small business and keeping it small, and you basically kind of like running it. Where'd the vision come from, and how did you end up here now? And then I guess we'll get into talking about the plans for growth and where you want it to go.
So I always knew how to cook.
Right.
I from a very, very young age, and I gotta thank my family for that. My Uncle Jimmy, he owns it was called It's All Greek to Me on Quimple Road, Greek restaurant, now called the Blue Olive.
Okay, yeah.
But he had me. I was sweeping the floors there, cleaning up at like age 11 or 12, and I would always just be peeking in, smelling that lemon, that oregano, that lamb, just frying. Just
you're Greek?
No, so he's not actually he's like my not my legitimate uncle, but
okay.
I call him Uncle Jimmy because I've known him my whole life.
Yeah.
And just watching the operations and watching how, and it's influenced how I am to this day. He would have all this staff, and when stuff wasn't going right how we liked it, he would just jump behind the line and he would just start grilling. And me watching that, soaking that all in, and then later getting a job once I was, legally able to step behind the line myself when I was about, 17, 18. I was a line cook at his restaurant, and then they had some major staff shortages, and I became like a sous chef to a young man named Elijah. He was the head chef. Got to shout him out because he taught me so much.
Okay.
But I was his sous chef at like 18, 19, so quite young to be plating and doing all that. But it laid the groundwork for where I'm at today, and I would be doing my mother a terrible disservice if I didn't thank her, because when she would be going away for the summer with her now husband, she would be leaving me, during high school. She trusted me, on my own in the house, and she would leave behind a recipe book and grocery money. Mm. Didn't have the money to be like, here, take out every day. It'd be like, here's $100, back when $100 could actually get you something at the grocery store, and go, make all these recipes that have been just passed down.
Wow.
And that helped a bunch. I was definitely the only high school guy inviting his friends over and just going rack of lamb, asparagus, garlic mashed potatoes with a jus on the side. People were like, whoa, thought we were getting chicken nuggets, dude.
Right.
It was unique, to say the least, and it was something that I really had a passion for. Obviously, it worked flawlessly for dates. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Invite the honeys over. You got a 5-star cuisine ready.
Sure they love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They were sometimes asking, like, did you order this? I'm like, take it. So then I realized I had to change it up. I had to do it in front of them, like a hibachi type situation. But that laid the groundwork for it. And if you don't mind me getting into, obviously, the sort of negative circumstance that...
Of course, man.
Okay, so, and we'll get into it deeper, obviously, later, but how I started the idea of Coov's Cookin', I was at my very, 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 very lowest state in my life. Like, you don't often recognize in the moment that you're at your bottom, but like I was fully aware in this certain moment years ago that, okay, this is my bottom. I've never felt so helpless and powerless, and whatever the opposite of self-efficacy is. It was like I was up at 3 a.m. looking up in the ceiling, just having those self-thoughts of just nothing but negative. And it was based on, obviously, a legal situation I was in. And in fact, the business plan to start Couv's Cookin was written on a little notepad in county jail, Burnside, right? They do give you paper and a pen. In fact, if you want to put it to good use, write a novel. In my case, I wrote the plan for Couv's Cookin, because I did kind of a self-assessment and said, like, well, what are my skills other than crime? Like, what I've got, like, I was so underestimating my intelligence, my abilities, that I went with what was easy, which was that life, the other life. And I thought to myself, I said, man, I've always been able to cook. Even when I was making said mistakes, I was still cooking these like super high level meals. I would be posting them on Snapchat. People were like, when are you going to start selling plates? What's wrong with you? And I was like, no, I'm selling this other stuff at the moment, not plates. And I said, let me call it. It was Couv's Kitchen, funny enough, was like the first name I thought of. And I was like, there's Martin's Kitchen, which is like phenomenal. I want my name to be unique, and I want it to like just be quick and punchy. So I was like, Couv's Cookin'. All right, I can sell, cheap like mac and cheese, fried chicken wings, like, and just takeout plates, and that's how I'll start. Meal prep wasn't even a thought, because it's not like a really common practice locally. Right. It's like HelloFresh and Chef's Plate and all these like big monsters, Factor. But locally there was a few niche things like a smooth meal prep and saute, but there wasn't like that like household meal prep name. So it didn't even cross my mind to be honest with you. It was more just soul food type takeout that I wanted to start. So when I was home, I was in this very, very, very small studio apartment, the smallest space out. It was very, almost cell-like, but that would be doing a disservice to freedom. So like, obviously it wasn't a cell.
This was post-cell?
Yeah, post-cell, but very small apartment. And at the time, I had a son with an amazing woman who, at the time, wasn't granting me access to my son. Now, obviously, in the moment, I'm doing the opposite of accountability, which many people do, and I'm doing more the Spider-Man meme. I'm pointing fingers. It's her fault. It's, it was my fault. I was not fit mentally to be a parent. But believe me when I say I loved my son unlike anything else. I wasn't showing it in a healthy way. I wasn't showing up for him. I wasn't showing up for his mother. So it was the shock to my system that I ultimately needed, was her cutting off access temporarily. And I thought that, incarceration was my bottom. I thought that assets being taken from me or accounts being frozen was my bottom. Not like, money comes and goes. Family is. When I wasn't granted access to my son, that was my true bottom. And that's the moment where I said, okay, what can I do to prove my worth to be his father? Like, let me stop blaming everybody else, because it's entirely my choices that landed me in that place. There's a saying that I use, it's things can be excusable. Things can be, that's totally not what I meant to say. Things can be understandable, but not excusable. So like, you can understand, like, you can add context as to why I made certain decisions, but that doesn't make it excusable. I still should have went the right way. And the moment I started thinking like that is the moment I started changing my behavior. You got to change your behavior, and then your thoughts will follow. started changing my behavior, started changing who I was hanging around with, started changing the things I was listening to, the things that I was consuming. I just wanted to like lay out this phenomenal portfolio of like, I'm ready to be a dad, man. Let me back. Let me back in. And financially, obviously, it was important to find this method to provide legally, which was this foreign concept to me at this present time. So Couv's Cookin was it. I said, all right, I've got this small space, but I've got this decent sized Instagram at the moment, you know, this personal Instagram. Now at the time, a couple thousand followers, which to me was like, yeah, I've got this network. So I started the page. I started just the separate Couv's Cookin page, and then I was trying to bring as many followers from my personal page to that page. And I was like, hey, y'all have all been asking, y'all have seen my snaps and my meals, bringing it to you guys for real. $20, I think it was, $20 you get. This is insane. It shows you what inflation has done. But for $20, they were getting a strip loin steak, some wings on the side, and some mac and cheese. $20. Like that does not exist now.
Definitely not.
Never. Unless that steak is stolen. You know what I mean? It's not happening.
Good business plan.
Yeah. So I started, and, you know, I thought it would be flying at first, and it wasn't. It wasn't flying, because people were like, yeah, no, those, you know, a couple of my buddies were supporting. So they were like, yeah, like, you're our friend. We're gonna support you, but you have to actually prove that the food tastes good. Like, people have to, word of mouth needs to happen, right?
Yeah.
And people were very, very thrown off even at the idea. There were many jokes being made about me starting this food thing after my very serious legal situation. They're like, oh, this is either like a front, or it's like he must really be losing his mind if he thinks like he can just transition to this. Like, there's no way. And so I just started to do giveaways. I started to just give meals out, like, just trust me, like, you will like it. You will like this food. And in about a matter of 4 or 5 months, I had taken over my apartment building in a way that I've never heard happening. So it was kind of, if anyone's seen the movie like New Jack City, it was like The Carter, but for legal food. It was like, I've never seen anything like it. So I was cooking the steaks and the sides, because by this time the menu had expanded. There were all these different kinds of wings. There were different kinds of mac and cheeses. There were different mains, pastas. And I was cooking the steaks and the asparagus and the pastas in my little studio apartment. And then I had enlisted my good buddy AC 2 doors down
Started the syndicate.
to do the mac and cheeses. This is no joke. He was the mac and cheese specialist. So he would have a buffalo chicken mac and cheese. He would have a Philly cheesesteak mac and cheese. I'm gonna bring this back one day, by the way, when I get, you know, a real deal space for the nostalgia of it. But I think it would actually take off too. He had all the different mac and cheeses, and then this is when it got a little crazy. On the 11th floor, our good buddy Lawrence was chefing up the fried chicken wings, and he had like all these different kinds of flavors. But me, and I told you about how I am in traffic, when I gotta like wait, it's no good. This is the best shape I've ever been in my life, because I was running from the bottom floor all the way up to the 11th floor to get people's, take the stairs, 11 floors, to get people's chicken wing orders, run all the way back down. I did that run because in 4 or 5 months we were having, you know, it was pickup only at first, and we were having, you know, 50, 60, 70 people coming to my apartment building. Super sketchy and not okay.
The cops are watching you.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah.
mac and cheese, dog. Mac and cheese.
Yeah, mac and cheese. I'm definitely thinking in the moment, like, this looks This looks crazy.
Yeah, bad
like,
optics for sure.
Bad optics,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so I would be doing stuff, like I'd be running with the mac and cheese, and I'd be like opening it for the cameras. But then, you know, once you stop thinking about the police side of things, you also got to think about the food inspector. side of things and the building side. I can't, for the life of me, I'm not going to say what building it was because I wouldn't want to get anybody in trouble. Like, you're 100% not supposed to be doing what I was doing
No?
out of that building.
Okay.
No, like, definitely not. Running like a full-scale food operation out of it, it was harmless, obviously.
Helpful, if anything.
But yeah, and it honestly went very, very well. But there was like a sort of quiet patch, like, and it was in the summer, funny enough. Like, you would think like takeout soul food summer, it works, but people were kind of gravitating more towards, going downtown, the waterfront. And also, this was during COVID. This was like when regulations would be put on, then taken off, and put on, taken off. It was just a lot of inconsistencies. And I wanted to think of a way to sort of circumvent that and make my own thing, because at the end of the day, my meals were good. Don't get me wrong. The takeout meals were good, but you can get better soul food many other locations. You can get a better, you can get a better steak at the Keg. You can get better soul food at R&B Kitchen. You can get better. My skill that I truly believe I have over many other, just we'll say cooks in general, is I can make 200 different cultures dishes at a good to very good rate. I won't make it the best. It's like a MMA fighter that's like a really good striker, really good grappler, a really good stamina. Not the best at any of these things, but they're like very well rounded. And that's what I feel I am. I can do a lot of things very good to great, nothing spectacular. So I was like, what business models sort of does that gel with? And I was like, meal prep. Meal prep, because you got to keep things exciting with meal prep. So I put a meal prep menu out, and it was a lot more well received than my initial sort of soul food menu was, because it was a dry market for meal prep locally.
This is during COVID?
This when I put that menu out, that was 2022. I'd been for the first like year and a bit just doing the soul food stuff and catering certain events, and 2022 is when I put my first meal prep menu out, not that long ago. And by this time, I had to get out of that small space because my past life was starting to catch up to me.
I want to get into that in a little bit. I won't interrupt the story, but
yeah. And we can talk a lot more about that, but my past life, I rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, making a full 180
change is hard.
Turn.
Yeah.
You've got this like built up idea in your head. You're like, everyone's just going to acquiesce to my decision to just turn my life around. They're not going to protest it. They're going to be like, woo, go Couv. It's not the case at all. They're like, oh, good for you for growing up. Doesn't mean we've grown up. And I mean, if they thought about it like that, it would be a good start for them. But I had two very, very real and very serious attempts on my life when I was serving food.
Really?
Yeah. Because
resonating from the past. And pickup only means I'm broadcasting where these pickup orders are happening. Where you are.
Yeah, where I am at all times. Very naive of me to do, but I had this idea in my head, which I still kind of have, but there's been enough time that I feel like if I keep doing what I'm doing, it will eventually be my reality. But I felt like in the moment, I'm like, man, I'm doing nothing but positive things right now. Like, people see that, they'll take it easy on me. They'll leave me alone. That is how I think. But reality is reality, and sometimes, especially if those skeletons or those choices, those decisions, those beefs are recent, it's not enough time has passed for it to be cool. And I won't even like allude to who it was or not even what exactly it was about. We'll just chalk it up to just my past decisions. You know, it didn't happen out of nowhere. Like they weren't like, this guy's buttermilk fried chicken is exceptional, we must kill him. You know, it was it was purely my past decision making and choices that
We got to put a stop to this buttermilk chicken, bro. It's too good. Yeah.
Yeah, they were hired by Mary Brown's to just,
Take you out.
hit crew, but
MB hit squad.
yeah, they did what they did based on, you know, their idea of who I was.
Right.
And they're not wrong about who I was.
Right.
So if I were to see these individuals now, and I have actually, I try to bring it in.
Yeah.
Like it's love. I have zero ill will towards you because you were doing what it is you do when you're in that arena and you're in that life. And just because I was outside of that arena and putting my gloves down, so to speak, that doesn't mean that you are. Like, it's very naive for me to think so. So there were two very serious attempts. I will say I dodged, ducked, dove, got out of there because I'm surprisingly for my size, I'm an exceptional runner. I don't, you know, when you're in a fearful situation like that, you can freeze, you can fight, or you can fly. You run. And oftentimes back in the day, I would fight. And I'm very lucky to be alive. But now that I have something and people to live for, and even in that moment, I didn't even know that I had much to live for except my future self, what my future self could become. I ran. I was like, I'm out of here. At least I didn't freeze. If I would have froze, I may not be here. I just ran. I have no embarrassment about it. I'm out of there. I guess I got my hands. That's it. They have much more serious things than hands in their hands.
Just buttermilk chicken.
Exactly. So after that, I was in great fear for my life and had trouble sleeping at this place that everyone now knew where I was. I felt like sort of the walls were closing in. So I moved to now I had accumulated actual legal income. I can now look good on paper and get a decent apartment. So I had this flat. And that was when the meal prep really, really started to grow. But it was still in an apartment. You know, you're still limited. I had one stove. We got shouted out by this amazing influencer, Alicia McCarville, but I was in such a small space that I wasn't ready for that. You know, so people started making orders. I was taking them. I was like, I'm not going to say no to business. And it got to a point where we're in this apartment and I've got like 8 different plug-in little heated tops, hot plates with all these pots and pans. Just, I needed more arms, you know what I mean? And I had help, but we were limited. One oven it's insane to think now, but we were trying and the quality just was brutal. It was brutal. I'm looking at the pictures of like what my meals were like in 2023. Horrible, because I was just hungry for the business and I wasn't thinking about the quality. I wasn't doing an honest self-appraisal of the product that I was putting out. And when I changed that, when I took a step back and like, I was like, why are we here? I started to lose a lot of business because the meals were looking bad and there were mistakes being made. You know, they're like,
Too fast.
an immense amount of mistakes being made. So I was doing apology after apology, discount after discount, free this, free that. It was overwhelming for me, seeing all this money going out and not as much coming in, and grew too fast. Exactly, not organic at all. I thank her. Like if she would have, you know, if she would have given me that love when I was ready, would have been on. But I've now built Cuv's Cookin back up organically to the point now where I can handle volume, and we're in now a rental space that has 4 ovens and all this cooking space, all this prepping space. It's a commercial grade kitchen. So now,
Definitely quality now.
exactly. And now when a food inspector comes in, I'm not terrified. I'm like, oh man, I no longer have this imposter syndrome that I had when I was in this apartment. If a food inspector would have came to that apartment, I'd be toast, you know? But now, hey, yeah, we got our gloves, we're smooth. Everything's where it's supposed to be. And that's been a real beautiful feeling of legitimacy, being in a commercial space and being able to handle volume and being able to give people accessible food. Like, this is not $30, $40 meals. These meals start at $12.50, and they're high quality. Like, they're getting steak, they're getting veg, they're getting a side. It's no joke. I'm able to accomplish that because of the space that we're in, being a rental kitchen. I just rent it for the time that I need it. Nothing more, nothing less. And so that keeps my overhead low, and I'm able to take care of my staff. My staff have been with me now for a couple years.
How many do you have?
Right now I've got 3 cooks with me and 4 to 5 drivers. The drivers, it's a pretty far delivery range now, like all the way to Upper Sackville, all the way to like East Preston, all the way to, Hammond's Plains, sometimes Tantallon-ish, Deep Spryfield. Like, it's a good, large sort of HRM delivery scope, and we don't charge for delivery. It's very accessible. And that allows it to also be fulfilling, not only financially, but it gives us still that like community feel, like no real barrier to entry, so to speak. Like, it's affordable. Therefore, a large scope of people get to experience it.
The people that are working with you now, they're people that you knew from life before, grew up with, or they're kind of a new circle? Mixed?
It's mixed. People, so to change your life, right, in my opinion, and I'm part of a group called the 7 Step Society, and it's for people that former incarcerated individuals that want to stay free. Promotes freedom, and it promotes being a pro-social individual. And
what's that mean, pro-social?
Pro-social, just I don't know the exact definition, but like to me, it just means being able to be a community member and not scare anybody.
Right.
Like, don't let that dog out the cage, right?
Be of service to the community.
Exactly, be of service. And because a lot of us are just, there's a lot, like, we've come almost desensitized to the immense amount of trauma that we carry around, the immense amount of PTSD. Like, I still found a way to joke about attempts on my life, as you can see there. That's no joke.
No.
Sometimes it's my way of coping, like add some humor to it. I try to do that when I go to the kids. I give speeches at the high schools. I try to add some humor in there to just lighten it up a bit. But
makes it more digestible.
Exactly. But yeah, it's people, places, and things are the 3 elements that are so crucial to sort of changing your present reality. And people is the hardest part, because I still love all these people from my past life. I do, like, for the most part. Not like, love is a strong word, but respect. Respect, admiration, love. But for me to really and truly change my reality, I can't be around them.
Arm's length.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't be like, hit my phone if you want to vent. Oh man, that's the first step. If you can acknowledge that your life is stressful, I'd love to be a sounding board for you. But people are the hardest thing to let go of. You can change what you're consuming, you can change your eating habits, your music listening habits, what you're even like watching. you can change where you are and what you're doing in these places relatively easily. If something as simple as just starting to work out and starting to talk to a therapist, if you really have this like immense amount of PTSD, start therapy, start going to the gym. Those two things are 2 hours or so out of a day, and can make an immense amount of difference. But it's the people, it's your friends that are just so hard to let go of and keep at an arm's length.
Difficult.
Because I always had a fear of letting them down. And because some of these friends of mine I got around to help build myself up when I was so low, and it almost felt like a disservice to now keep them at an arm's length. But if they're truly your friends, like non-transactional friends, like obviously friends of mine that I only did that illegal type of business with are like, Jacob's a pussy, Jacob's this, Jacob's that, because I'm not giving them that transaction anymore. But the non-transactional friends are going to support your decision to change your life around.
For sure. Values, like what prompts real change too, right? Like when values change.
Yeah.
And like values change a lot. And like with people, like you were talking about that turnaround point, like that's what really prompts change, when you change values. And people aren't born with values. You get them later. Everyone gets them at different stages. And as your values change, you change. And sounds like a real hard turn. So when you're dealing with other people that don't share the values that you used to share the values with, that's a hard leash to cut, I'd imagine.
It's true. If there are some friends that work for Cookin from my past, but they're like-minded individuals that had some missteps early on, but are trying to right the path. Like I gotta be around like-minded individuals, otherwise like complacency I'm just gonna plateau or go down. But yeah, man, it's Cookin,
It's taken off, man. It's really taken off. Like as far as growth goes, I mean, I've seen it just in a few months since I started trying to get these meals in.
You were a huge part of that. You just gave me a lot of confidence.
Man, the meals are killer. I've never experienced meal prep like it ever. And you can tell, like, your passion coming through food, like that was a crazy vessel to be able to turn things around, which is like
absolutely
kind of why we're sat here looking at it. And I didn't know the story before I tasted the food.
Yeah.
And I tasted it. I was like, this is not normal meal prep.
Yeah.
I was like, what prompted this? So that's why I got you sat here. And when you told me bits about it, I was like, would you mind doing this in front of a camera so other people can hear it too? Because I think that's important,
I'm happy.
So what's the next steps? Are you going to look to continue growing it? Are you going to look to have your own kitchen someday? I don't want to put you on the spot, but like, what does the future look like for some of these things? Do you expand beyond the meal prep container? Like, what is the ambition?
Obviously, like, I want to keep the main thing for a bit, so that it doesn't, like, it's what brought me here ultimately is meal prep. Meal prep changed a lot of it made my present situation possible. So I would obviously love to keep that and do that at a larger scale, but I'd also love to. I look up to my friends there at Cove Soda, Cove Kombucha. They're one of the owners is a meal prep client of mine.
Those every day.
And and they started in a rental kitchen.
Okay.
I don't think that's that's not something they'd have a problem with me saying. Like, yeah, it's humble beginnings, And now they're just everywhere. They're in Target. They're in Walmart, Costco. Not Walmart yet, I don't think. I would love that if they were. Like, I go through all kinds of those gut healthy sodas, right? It helped me kick my soda, my love for actual soda, right? With all the sugar. But I look at them and I think, how could I bottle my sauces? Something like that. Like, how could I be in the stores, but not sacrifice the quality of anything?
Yeah, that's important.
So yeah, of course, I would love to grow the meal prep. I'd love to have some bottled sauces. But of course, I want my own space so that, because where I'm at now is a beautiful situation, and I'm extremely grateful for it. We have a real good working relationship, myself and the people who own it. But I would love to just answer to myself.
Of course.
If possible.
Yeah, of course.
Or myself and business partner, whatever it turns into. Would love my own space and would love to have sort of a takeout option, like run a real like small scale restaurant, not some big situation that I can't quite get a handle of yet, but just grow this thing slowly. I learned from that mistake of trying to get that quick flash in a pan, and that comes from that instant gratification of that old life that I lived, where it was quick money, quick cash. And if you get greedy in that life, you get hemmed up, right? You get caught up. And if you get greedy and want that instant gratification in the food business, that's how food poisoning can happen. People get that undercooked chicken breast. You might forget the whole damn chicken breast in their meal, and they're looking at you crazy because you gave them rice and some broccoli. You know, all kinds of mistakes can happen.
The focus on quality seems to be an important thing. That's like
it is.
Being passionate about something keeps you tethered to it, right? It keeps you attached to it, and I think that's what pushes things to the next level. But keeping it small, it's how the best whiskeys in the world are made. The best distillers in the world, they got that small batch. They don't let things in the barrel, and sometimes I think less ingredients makes the quality, right?
Less ingredient like that. That's and after our chat, I'm going to marinate all my protein. Like I don't do that 30 minutes before cooking it. Like I do that the day before. I want that protein sitting. I want it to be a very different take on meal prep. Like you're getting a real home cooked feel. Like when my mom would have the chicken legs and in that homemade marinade in the fridge overnight, I was like, oh my, I can't wait till I see this come to fruition. You know, and it was always better marinating overnight. So I bring that same home cooked feel.
That's amazing, man. Well, the passion's clear, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why you're doing good. Keeping it small, it's going to grow naturally.
Absolutely.
I got a gut feeling about it. My old gypsy gut is rarely wrong about this stuff. I'd say you're gonna be doing just fine. So, yeah, that's really good, man. I guess you know, you're doing a great thing. You're definitely of service as far as that 7 steps and what it means to you and everything else about community, which is like, you know, well, I was so excited to get you on here. So I guess maybe if you're okay, tell people like where to find you and how to get these meal plans in place if they're kind of looking for it, you know.
Absolutely. I've got more time, by the way. If you do
we'll
want
keep
me to
going,
get. Oh,
but
okay, cool.
We can just chop it up and cut these things out however we need.
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
If you're good with it.
Tell them where to find me.
Yeah. So I just messaged you on Instagram. I don't know if that's the regular path.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to keep that accessibility going. Like, it's Cuvs Cookin on Instagram at Cuvs Cookin, CUVS Cookin, COOKIN. Now, we do have a website, cuvscookin.ca. Love to have people order via the website, but I want everyone to just know that if there's like any anxiety around sort of navigating the website, I'm just a DM away. It's me behind the Instagram. It's not, I don't have someone working it, maybe one day, but it's me, and I can answer all the questions that you would need. I'm more than happy to.
The meals are absolutely fantastic too, and like we appreciate it. You get the boys here on meal prep for their camps and everything too, so we appreciate you a ton, man.
I always like to keep extremely dangerous individuals fed and happy. That's the goal.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for sitting down with me, buddy.
Much
really
respect, brother.
It. You too.
And then I was working a nightclub. Being a bouncer and having unresolved anger management issues is a recipe for disaster.
I've been around. I worked on the door. Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked at
It's a recipe. It's a recipe for disaster.
I've seen guys that, you know,
and
definitely couldn't control their temper too well.
I had an immense amount of sadness that was deep down from my childhood because I was bullied. So, and this is something that like I was almost expecting to talk about, but it's
we're still rolling.
Yeah.
Talk about it, yeah.
What actually originally derailed my trajectory in life was a random act of violence.
On you or
on
from
me.
you? Okay.
On me. So, in all the way up until grade 10, I was like the model child for my parents. I was playing volleyball, I was playing basketball, badminton, every sport. high grades, honors in grade 10, like, 80s, 90s. I was in the band. I was in the jazz band. I was playing the trombone. Like, come on now. I had this little
That's
Justin
a
Bieber,
gangster-ass horn, the
Justin
trombone.
Bieber hair. I was what my parents imagined me being, right? And I would like to say that now it's come full circle. But there was a long period of time where I know shit was hairy. So in grade 11, at the start of grade 11, I was walking home through the Commons, and this is during the era of swarmings. I don't know if you remember that era.
Yeah.
And in particular, in Halifax, the swarmings were part of initiation for this pretty dangerous gang of fellas from an area close by, And I just happened, it was wrong place, wrong time. I was walking through the Commons with my trombone after jazz band, not at a late hour, by the way. So there's not even like a lesson to learn from this. You can't be like, oh, you were walking at 2 a.m., duh. It's like, no, this is 4 p.m., 4:30 p.m. A perfectly okay hour to be walking home with your trombone, you would think.
Standing there every day at 4 p.m.
Right.
Yeah.
So walking through there, and a young guy approaches me and asks me if I've got a lighter on me. Never smoked in my life. And I'm so nervous because I've never been in any tense situation at all up until this moment. I've never even had a hoodied individual come up and ask me for a lighter. Like, I've just been so separated from that. Like, my parents did a really good job. Even though I was around these guys, my parents, like, they were literally separated as well, but they loved me, and they gave me attention and all the positive words of affirmation I should need to be on the right track. So seeing this individual come up to me and ask if I had a lighter, I was just like, searching for a lighter that doesn't exist.
Freeze.
I was freeze, exactly. I was so nervous. And then, bow, I just get suckered out of nowhere, sucker punched. Now it was 15. It was a huge group. And they just start whooping on me. I've got nothing. I don't even know if I had a phone yet. Like, I was late to the phone party also. I think this moment sparked my mom being like, maybe you should have a phone so you can call for help. But I'm getting whooped, and I had this option to just stay down in the fetal position and just take it, And something, like, I didn't get put to sleep, but I was just getting beat real bad. Something sparked, I don't know, it was like, get up. So something just told me, get up and fight back. I've never thrown a punch in my life, And I get up and I'm just throwing these little sucky, like, windmill punches, and I end up getting stabbed.
Oh, Jesus.
Right? Top of my head. I just got my hair cut. People think it's a bald spot, but the top of my head there. And chest through my hand because I'm trying to block it. And that was an extremely traumatic, I'd say, situation because many times when things happen, you can learn something from it. I'm not quite sure what other than I shouldn't have got up after them beating me up. Like, that's I'm so. I practice accountability so hard now that I was wrong somewhere. Like, let me think of a way that I could have done this better. But me almost dying after living this life of just checking every box, me almost dying in that moment. And then, to make matters worse, 2 months later, like they say, lightning only strikes like the one time, struck twice. I was walking down Chebucto Road with a couple of my friends, and now I've somewhat changed who I'm around, but not like hyper changed who I'm around. But I'm around a slightly different crowd. There was a group home right on the corner of Chebucto and Mumford. And these guys jumped off the stoop. Now the lesson here is don't be walking down Chebucto Road at midnight drunk. Is when I first started to kind of drink too. Everything changed after that night. I hadn't drank up until that moment. Like I wasn't like the young guy getting wasted. That moment really changed a lot. I allowed it to change a lot, and I was with my buddies, and these guys came across the road. They had a machete, they had a sawed-off shotgun.
What?
Yeah, no joke. They were right on the step, just waiting for some group to just victimize. And
what year was this?
2011.
Oh shit. Okay.
2011, and
That's like pirate shit.
all of my buddies can attest to this. None of us like fought back,
Sawed-off shotgun. When are you gonna fight back?
but I had this really weird moment where I started to laugh.
What do you do?
I don't know what spawned it, right? But I was just like, it was more, it outwardly, like my friends that were there in that moment were like, man, Jacob's like punking these guys off. In the moment, I was terrified, but I was laughing because I was like, what are the fucking chances of this happening to me? You know, like I can never. I'm thinking in my head, this young kid who a few months prior was like this golden child. I'm thinking in my head now at this moment, and they took my phone. This is my first phone I ever had. I had nothing else. I had no money. They took my little phone, put it to the shotgun in my head, and were like laughing right back at me. You know, I was obviously terrified, but I was laughing because I was like, I'm never gonna be able to leave the house without a weapon again.
That's crazy, man.
Right? And so ever since that day, it wasn't the day that I almost died. It was the follow-up to that, where it's like two random acts of scary, traumatic situations.
Yeah, that'll make you desperate.
So I started just, I was carrying whatever I could to school. Bear mace, big knife, collapsible baton.
You were the boiled frog, man. 100%. You know, like the boiled frog analogy?
No.
You can take a frog,
Yeah.
put it in cold water, and put the burner on. And you can boil that frog to death, and it will not jump out. But if you put a frog in hot water, it will jump out.
I'll jump out.
You know what I mean? So, like, you're saying this?
Yeah.
That's
Boiled
exactly,
frog analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it then transitioned from, because my therapist calls it defense formation. So I talk to a therapist quite frequently because it's helped. It's helped an immense amount. I couldn't come to terms with a lot of this stuff. So he helped me discover what changed everything, right? And so I started to surround myself with guys that gave me more, like, oh, these are tough guys. Like, these are the guys I always looked up to. These are the guys who are coming to school in cars that there's no way they should afford, rocking chains. They've got, this guy got a pistol in class. Like, whoa, I bet if I'm with him, no one's going to.
These two things that happen to me are not going to happen to me.
Exactly. Yeah. And granted, that did for a while be the case, because people were like, whoa, who's with like these guys? Like, even though those random acts of violence could still happen because they don't know me, they don't know who I'm hanging out with, right? But it gave me that feeling of safety. And obviously there's got to be a transactional nature to that safety. So, you got to start pulling your weight. Contributing
to the reputation.
And so I'm getting in all sort of beefs, all sort of issues, confrontations, and my anger is going so incredibly unchecked because that little scared boy that was victimized in that moment is still inside, and it still exists, and it's not being talked about. I'm not talking to anybody about this, but now this capable, willing guy is on the outside, ready to just do whatever, because this little sad child has just been silenced, but is still crying out, and it's just the actions on the outside are just looking differently than what's going on the inside. Yeah. A lot of these anger, these things that I was doing out of anger were, the source was sadness, unchecked, and I had many, 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 many angry situations that obviously I can't talk about, that I was never, charged with. But at the nightclub when I was working, I had a double assault take place where I won't even say allegedly because I was found guilty, but I really like hurt these two dudes who were, you know, saying inflammatory things to me, and that's it. They didn't touch me at the end of the day. I didn't feel like a physical threat in that moment, but the words that they were saying to me, and not to make it too personal, but they were saying about my father too. In the moment.
Did you know them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I was walking around that day at about an 8 or a 9 already. See, like we all wake up at a pretty low level. And then we go through things throughout the day, and if we don't have a little self-check-in moment, that shit can just keep bubbling up. Now you're at a 9. Now you're just walking around ticking time bomb. And then someone calls you like a goof, or someone says like your dad's a piece of shit, fuck him, or now you're just boom. Whereas if you were at like a 1 or a 2 and you know, you took your took your vitamins, you ate a good meal, you got a good workout in, and someone calls you that word, you're just like, cool, man, as long as you keep your hands to yourself, this does not have to be a problem. You can say whatever you want to me. Now, self-defense comes into play. It's self-preservation. But like words shouldn't take you out of your situation. But they did. Like they said what they said to me, and I just took it there, and I hit them both very, very hard and hurt them, assault causing bodily harm, and was incarcerated because of that. And not very long initially. Like we're just talking like a month.
Oh, okay.
And because then I got out. I got bail. This was around 2018, and I went back for a breach because I wasn't allowed to be downtown after.
I can't even picture you being violent. I'm not gonna lie.
No,
not to interrupt your story, but I just don't.
I appreciate
It's a
that.
big difference being able to.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, learning the skills to ebb and flow anger out.
Yeah.
Can change someone's entire personality.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that. I don't take that as an insult. I breached also because I took my conditions as like suggestions. They're like, not allowed to go downtown anymore. I was like, but if like a fun night is offered to me, I could still go. I gotta go.
But I got
and that was when I was
Barrington Street's not really
downtown. Exactly. You start towing the line, and this is when I was drinking heavily. Right. I've been sober now for 2 years, but this one I was drinking heavily, and if I had a few drinks now, my decision making has now just been rendered to damn near nothing. And so I went downtown thinking nothing was going to happen to me. Got picked up as soon as I walked out of Toothy Moose. Now I'm back to county, and this time when I went back to county, there were a lot of physical altercations waiting for me because I'm now known in these circles to be associated with individuals that have a lot of beef with a lot of different areas. And if you're going to be cool and taking, like me, I'm talking about me, third person kind of, I'm taking all these pictures with them, trying to be this cool guy. What's up, man? Gang. You gotta live it out when you're in these arenas, you know, and you gotta fight their battles if they're not there with you. And you know, at this point, before even boxing became a part of my life, I was known to be able to handle myself and have like a real heavy hand, and that is not helpful because that just means they're not sending one guy at you. Yeah. They're sending multiple guys at you. And in a small, constrictive space of a cell, they got one guy at the door watching, making sure guard's not coming.
Yeah, it ain't tournament style.
And the rest are, I'm not Jason Statham. Like, I can't go head kick, bow, 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 bow. I'm very, I know, but why?
But why?
I'm very focused. And I'm like, take one guy, but then while you're engaging one person, another guy's coming from here. They're not waiting their turn like the movies. And the movies are like, okay, let this guy lose. All right, now I'm coming in. I lose. Now the next guy's coming in.
It's a shock, right? When it's not like
3 or 4 people can cause like an immense amount of damage to you in a small
very
space
quickly
if they're willing. You know, and when you're in county, especially Burnside, people are very willing. People are very angry because the conditions are just so poor. And that's why there's so many lawsuits happening. The conditions are so poor. It's inhumane. And the food is so garbage that people are literally trading their banana bread. They're trading their chicken sandwich because it's so garbage for your piece of banana bread. They'll take protein off their plate and give it to you because banana bread is like the only tasty thing at the time. Like the food's that garbage. Like they're willing to just like do without like protein just to get like the one thing that tastes kind of like home. Everything else is like slop, garbage. So tensions are just so high, as you can imagine. And sometimes, you know, they're taking the pillows out of your bed. No pillows, because you guys have just been acting up. So roll your hoodie up, and that's your new pillow. Stuff like that. Like just, it's amazing. You take pillows for granted. Like when you're at home, you can. I'm a big 2-pillow, hug a third. You know, can't do that in there. You don't got that freedom. And so I entered this place, and you know, I had the option. I saw everyone. You know, they sat me down and they said, these are the people that are on the range, and if you want to check into protective custody, you have that option. Like they were almost like saying to me, like, it's probably not.
You're gonna get fucked.
It's probably not a good idea,
yeah.
based on what we know, because they have got intelligence. They know who's into. And my pride, but also my fear of disappointing others and being labeled as this check-in, whatever, made me say, no, I'm going. Like I'm good. I'm smooth. I can handle myself. It's like I willingly went. And what happened. I got beat up pretty good. And when I was in court, set to be released, my buddy noticed it. He was like, man, you seem very, very intense right now. Like, you know, you're coming home. And I was just like, no, I gotta go home, and I gotta never be back in this place, you know? And so after that situation, I was starting to get life on track. I finally had like a real job. I started working for Maritime Business College as a college recruiter, you know, and it was going really well. And then COVID hit, and I was part of the COVID layoffs. And you know, instead of just all it takes is one thing for me to revert back instead of just
old hat, man.
Exactly. It's like, okay, let me go back to what I know. Let me go back to what's comfortable. And I started surrounding myself with a little more higher up individuals, people more money motivated, less violence, and which I can appreciate. But the method of making money is what I don't appreciate now in hindsight. But I started getting around them, and unfortunately, I'm starting to get around these guys when they're already under a federal investigation. Federal, not like Halifax Regional. Like this is like a large scale. There's wires, there's sneak and peek warrants.
Jeez.
I don't know if you know what a sneak and peek warrant is, but it means the police get judge approval to break into your home covertly, set up listening devices. Big Brother shit, that's hilarious, but yeah. And then leave out. So if you're already wired, they know if you've got a reservation at Bicycle Thief, say, and they know they got X amount of time to go in there and do what they need to do. It's quite something. Like when they want you, it's over. Like they're phenomenal at their jobs, you know, and when they get the right funding, it's gung-ho. And so I'm entering this group of people when they're already under investigation, and then obviously the investigators are like, Cool. We're hearing this name, Cool. Like, who is this guy? You know, Jacob. Wow. Like, let's look into him. Let's start tailing him. And so I was obviously being physically monitored at first, and then electronically monitored in the car, the apartment, and whatnot. And ultimately, I ended up being caught up in a conspiracy charge. So I was arrested. They flew officers down from Ontario because they wanted to hit about 16, 17 different spots all at once. And so hundreds and hundreds of officers needed for that. And you know, they did it. And they got me and they brought me out to the car. And in the moment, I was really confident because I was like, I don't have drugs on me or anywhere near me. Snooze, you lose. Like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking so confidently in that moment, right? And I'll never forget the officer. I said it, like, I also, like, said it out loud, and the officer was just like, oh, no, we've had you for months, dude. We just wanted to wait a little bit.
Damn.
And I was like, what?
Damn.
And he's like, yeah. He's like, we're not even going to interrogate any of you. We got you.
Yeah.
Damn.
I said, whoa, because I'm used to like some level of interrogation because like they need that extra to make their case. And he's just like, less we do, the better. Like, we got it. Like, you're toast.
That's crazy.
I've just never seen confidence and professionalism like that. Like, it was the Delta Force guys didn't come. For me, it was like the guys with the notepads. Like, got your name? All right, cool. Send you to the station. I was like, is this like a business transaction? Like, what is this? And so I get released with no charges. So I'm extra confused. I'm like, okay, I thought I was for sure being charged with something, maybe because I was just thinking it was my lucky day, dude. But then I started asking around, and they're like, no, nobody is charged. I was like, oh, okay, now something's up. You know, something's definitely up. And I said to myself, let me hire a lawyer, you know? And the lawyer told me straight up, hey, they're going to wait to charge you because this is going to be a very, very year upon year
Holy fuck.
situation.
Just leaving you in limbo.
And so they don't want you to be able to get the Jordan rule, which is like 36 months. You can get the case dropped if you haven't seen trial yet. If they were to have charged me in that moment, everything would have been dropped because it was a 4-year ordeal, right? 5 year, yeah, 4 year.
So they basically collected all you guys to start rounding up evidence.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, seized everything. They wanted like money and cars and all that stuff. And then, but they had their like wiretap evidence already in the bag. Because conspiracy essentially means like we don't have to catch you physically with anything. We just got to prove that you conspired to do said thing. And because you conspired, because you're what we deem a thoughtful criminal, not the good kind of thoughtful, right? You put thought into said crime, you're going to get penalized harder in the grand scheme of things because you're more of a danger because you're actually thinking about this shit. You're not just doing it out of like some bare necessity, impulse or addiction or anything like that, which I completely understand. So we end up getting charged, and I think me and one other person ended up actually being incarcerated upon being charged, and it's because I had like a knife on me or something minor like that, and they were able to be like, oh, weapon. It ended up being dropped, but that's when I wrote the business plan when I was in during that, because they charged me money laundering, they charged me with conspiracy to traffic cocaine, and many other things that ended up being, thrown out. I think, proceeds of crime.
This is wild.
So what then happens is essentially where we started, which is business.
Yeah.
But the case as a whole is very interesting because I've never been in a situation where you're like 100% guilty, no debating. Like, there's no way to get around it. They tried to discredit the wire and say that informant information to get the wire granted was through bad practice or malpractice or whatever. That got thrown out, and it was like, okay, we have no other option here. Like, we got to just own up to it. But
how long was this going on for? Like, you in and out of course in this?
4 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Living in that is
it's crippling.
Yeah.
No way to live, man.
It's
Waiting for a day to
It's
come.
crippling. But I made a very, very good decision. I could have pled right away to just get it over with, but I didn't, and there's no literally the only reason that I didn't plead right away was because I wanted to build up a relationship with my son again. And his mother allowed me that.
She did?
Yeah. And I mean, now we're together. We have a second child. It's a beautiful, we have I'd be nowhere without her. I'd be nowhere without them.
Yeah, sounds like
you
she held
know?
it together.
She did.
Yeah.
And her granting me that access and then us building that beautiful bond is what kept me from fleeing. And I was like, it is inevitably going to happen, but let me get this time in to build this bond. And if I wouldn't have, I would have missed the old Bill C5, which is what makes the story very, 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 very important. Bill C5
Bill
was
C5.
signed by Trudeau, and it took away mandatory minimums.
Okay.
Because before, if you got caught trafficking drugs, you were guaranteed 2 years, and then we talk about what else we want to chuck on there. But you were 100% getting 2 years incarceration for trafficking Schedule 1 substance.
Okay.
And as of 2022, that was no longer the case. But people weren't really talking about it, because not with me anyways, because they were like, well, you had a conspiracy charge, dude. Like, although you didn't get caught with anything incriminating, conspiracy is always worse. You're 100% going to get prison time. So don't even think about that. Take it out of your mind. My lawyer was saying that. She was like, you're exceptional, because at this point, like, I had really started to change my life around by this point, and I was like nearly unrecognizable by 2023. I was like pretty much totally cut everything off, right? And so she was like, although it pains me to say this, like, you're 100% going to prison. I know that you got your hopes up because of Bill C5, but you got to start accepting that you're going to prison. Now, you're going to get the low end probably. You're not going to get 5, 7. You probably get 2, 3, 4. But like the Crown wanted 5. And that was after them learning about kind of where I'm at now. They were like, okay, well, 5 seems fair. And my lawyer was like, you're probably not going to get 5 years. You've done a lot, but wrap your head around this reality. Like, you're going to go 2 time. And the reason why that killed me is because I knew that going to an institution for a longer period of time, I would have to become that guy to just survive. Like, you can't go in there goody-goody two-shoes and think you can just be this wallflower. And it's very rare, especially if you have past transgressions that would cause people to confront you. So I would have to, like, that animal side would almost have to come back just to defend myself and survive. And I was very scared about that. And my peace was just becoming so, like, I just had so much peace at home. And I was so worried about losing that. I was so worried about, going in there and my son reoffending in there. Maybe I'm not home in 2 years. Maybe I'm home in however long. And so that took me down a notch when my lawyer said there's no shot. Like, just accept it. And that's the first step. So this whole time until my sort of sentencing day, I was getting my affairs in order. I even made a video on my Coop's Cookin page where it was like, somebody else is going to be taking over the Instagram. Don't be alarmed. It's just because I get a little grumpy answering so many DMs and blah, blah, blah. I was just trying to lay the groundwork for someone to take over. Now, I knew it was going to be a disaster because, like, we just weren't ready for that changeover. But I didn't care. I was like, if I lose the business, like, I'm more concerned about losing my son and, like, him losing respect for me, because I still hadn't told him, right? Because he was young at this time. He was like 6 years old.
To get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He would know, especially like 8, 9, like, you know what's up. And I just made that decision. Once I was told like 100% I'm going in, I stopped holding out hope for that community sentence, which ended up coming. I sat my son down and I said, buddy, no way for me to say this in like a lighthearted way, but your daddy made some pretty serious mistakes, and there's no excuse for these mistakes. I know my son, God bless his heart, immediately goes like, but were you doing something for your family? Were you doing something for us? And I was like, no, I lied to myself saying I was doing it for you guys. I was just doing it for myself. All of it was for me. It was selfish. And I said, on this day, they are going to be taking your dad to jail. And fuck, man, he was like, he was in a state of shock. And then I started crying.
I'd say.
Holy shit. He was just in a state of shock, and then I started crying, and then he just started crying, turned the crying up a notch, another decibel, and I said, I'm so sorry, man. I let you down. I let you down. I'm sorry. And he was just like, well, what about my birthdays? What about this? What about that? And that shit was, there was no like, the only silver lining to that conversation was, okay, like now he knows, but I just broke his heart. Mm-hmm. For that next 5-6 months, it was cold, dude. It was cold. Like he just looked at me very differently, and he would always reference it. He'd be like, so when's Daddy gonna be going to jail? I'm like, oh my God. And so I get my affairs in order. I worked up at this point such a great portfolio to show a judge. It's the business. I'd been volunteering. I'd been going to 10, 15 schools a semester, and being sat down with the specific at-risk youth. They would never do this now. Like, I can't believe they even did this a few years ago, but they would have me alone in this room with like their worst, or quote unquote worst, kids, and just an hour. Just I'd let them know what's up and what they can expect. They keep going this way. And very important groundwork that I was doing, and obviously volunteering elsewhere, but volunteering, the therapy, the boxing, the family, it all came to this in this nice sort of, this is what I've done. I had letters from a former Supreme Court judge. I had letters from students from, it was a beautiful, I just really can't say enough about the community supporting me in that moment. So I was like, okay, I think I'm only gonna get 2 years, man. Like, I can't see 5. I think 5 is insane, just seeing what you see. I think it'll just be 2-3 years. As long as I go in there and I don't mess up, like I don't hurt somebody, and hopefully I don't get hurt. I'm not Superman. Hopefully none of that happens. I started to get I started to accept that reality of like, after this court day, I'm going in, and it was insane, man. On the day of my sentencing, I dropped Gabriel to the bus, my son. And I was like, this is not goodbye, man. I'll see you later. Don't worry. Like, I'm gonna see you soon. And he just couldn't even look at me, man. Couldn't look at me. And I was silently pleading for him to just look me in the eyes, I had just tears in my eyes. And he was just like, goodbye, Dad. And just went on the bus, and I was like, buddy, now I'm broken all over again. Like, I was like confident going into that day, being like, it's gonna be bad, but it's gonna be the best of the bad. And then in that moment, I'm like, none of that shit matters, because he's not gonna get to wake up to his dad tomorrow. He's gonna be talking to me through a phone for a while. And all those breakfasts that I do up nice for him, all those trips to the playground, all those trips to the Palladium, we've got so many things that we do together are done, and I go to court, and this time, what was the difference was I had this insane amount of people behind me, supporting me. What a lot of people don't tell you is that these people you're committing crimes with, they are not going to be there for you in court. It's your lady, and it's your parents usually, and maybe like a best friend from the other, like the good life, that are there supporting you. It's not the homie, it's not the gang, fuck no, they're not there. So it was amazing to see. I had all my 7 Step Society family there. I had my dad's side, my mom, people that don't even really get along and coexist were there, because it was like for a greater purpose. Like, let's support Jacob as he goes and send him off in a Nobody had a piece of faith in me coming home that day, right? Myself included. My wallet, my phone's all in Chevy, my partner's pocket. I was like, I love you. I was writing her little love notes while the judge was talking, and wrote her a note to give Gabriel and read Gabriel from me. Read to Gabriel from me. And then I heard the judge say, is there, like, I totally zoned out when the prosecutor was saying his closing statements about me and what my lawyer was saying. I zoned out because I was like, no matter what, I'm going to this place. Mm-hmm. So, like, let me focus on writing these letters for my partner and my kid and my future daughter, because we knew she was pregnant at the time. And I knew I was going to have a daughter. I was like, let me write a note for my daughter you can read to her. I was heartbreaking, knowing I wasn't probably going to be there for the birth. And then I hear the judge say, Mr. Cuvelier, would you like to say anything before? And my lawyer was like, I would always say no in this scenario, but if you want to say something, Jacob, like, you're the type that I would be okay with saying something. She's like, just be careful, you know? Don't go up there and do, like, Tupac hit him up type shit. Like, go up there and show some accountability, you know? She was, like, whispering. She's like, you're the exception. You could do this. And I was like, thank God, because I really wanted to speak, you know? And there's a whole transcript of what I said. It was a good long 20, 25-minute speech. And the first thing I say, which was so incredibly important, and it laid the groundwork out of accountability very well, because that's what a judge needs to hear. It needs to hear accountability. If you go up there and you start making excuses, I don't care what you're saying, you know? I felt nothing but accountability in that moment, because I'm seeing all the people I'm affecting behind me by going away. And first thing I say, justice, because it's not Your Honor in the Supreme Court, it's justice. Justice, I'd first like to acknowledge that everything that the prosecution has said about me and about who I was, absolutely accurate. I appreciate them not putting extra sauce on it. 100% accurate as to who I was. But I would just like to tell you about who I've become since this transgression. And that drew it like that, like sucked the air out of the room in the best way possible, and it let me just go through this journey of the last like 4 or 5 years because this time that I was going to court, I could have been back in that same life, because I'm thinking my life's over, man. Like, I might as well just continue this life and become whatever. I'm you know, rich, whatever. Instead, I used it to change my life, you know, which is very rare. Most people don't do that. And so for that 25 minute monologue, we'll say, that was totally off the top of the head. It wasn't prepared in any sense, but that adds a lot more genuine nature to it. Like when something's scripted, it's like a robotic sound to it. After that, I mean, there were times where I was crying. I was talking through my own crying, and after that, I thought I was getting sentenced in that exact moment, and she was just like, the judge was like, all right, we need to reconvene. We need to push a sentencing out 2 weeks. My lawyer looked at me, was like, Jacob, we'll talk later. But my lawyer was like, whoa, this isn't supposed to happen.
Okay.
You're the movie moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We come back in 2 weeks and had to do that whole, see Gabe, I love you speech. My lawyer didn't say not a word to me, wasn't trying to get my hopes up, but when we get to court, my lawyer said, Jacob, you might, she's like, I don't want to get you up, but like, I've never seen that before. You might be going home today. You'll be the first. You might. Because in the law it says now it's up to the judge's discretion for extraordinary circumstance.
That's with this new bill.
With this new bill
Right.
to be granted a community sentence. First thing the judge says is, Mr. Cuvelier, what would a community sentence look like for you? Like, how would you even propose this, a community sentence for such a serious charge? Because she's like, it's crazy to even think about, but I'm just curious, like, what would you see that being? I just laid out like the most strict house arrest conditions I could possibly imagine. I was like, home monitoring, there's a camera constantly following me. I was like, let me make this insane as possible. And she was like, okay. And then just moved on and talked about the case. And I was like, oh, damn, no, okay, no, she's not going for it. Then she says about, I'd say, the last 5 minutes is when the energy just totally switched, because she said one of the letters was from a student of a class that Jacob went and spoke to, and the student asked me through this letter, with everything that Jacob's done since his offense, how can you put him in prison? Like, how can you rationalize putting him in prison? You know? And the judge said, that question has been bothering me since you spoke, and I can't think of a rational, lawful reason to incarcerate you. I was like, huh? And I look at my lawyer, and my lawyer's just like, what? And I look back, and Chevy, my rock, is just like, shh, like, don't,
Say
it's not over
nothing,
yet.
say
It's not over
nothing,
yet.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, man, I kind of blacked out in that moment, because when you're ready for that, like, to be walked to your new home, you're just, when it's the total opposite, I blacked out, and I'm hearing like clapping, and I'm hearing like, oh my, and my lawyer's like grabbing my arm, and it was essentially justice saying, like, you're on an extremely, extremely short leash, but I think you have made a historic turnaround, something I've never seen. And then she asked, she was like, the prosecutor's name. She said the prosecutor's name. Be honest, have you seen this before? No, Justice, I've not seen this before, but we are seriously against a community sentence for this offense. But yeah, we've never seen this. He was just so, at that moment, just flustered. He's like, yeah, okay, he's cool. He's cool and all that, but we still want, he's got a job to do, right? And she was like, you're going home you're going home today, Mr. Cuvelier. You're going home. But with this condition, this and that. Don't. She's like, don't prove me wrong.
Yeah.
That's the last thing she said. Don't prove me wrong.
When that hit you, was that what does
shaking.
that relief feel like? Like 1,000,000 pounds pulled off you.
I was shaking, man. I was in the courtroom bathroom taking selfies, doing like, I was calling everybody. No one believed it. I'm so happy that there were so many people there, because I also realized that since it was such a precedent-setting moment, people would have maybe assumed, if they weren't there or didn't have people that could relay them the information, they would have been like, Jacob must have got up on the stand and he did this, he did that, he must have just been this top cooperating. That's why I'm very happy that people were there to witness what actually happened. And that amount of relief was, I'd been carrying around so much weight for 4 years of waiting and not knowing. And I was like, oh my gosh, now I can act like we can actually plan a future. Like, I get to meet my baby girl. Like, all this stuff just, so I was like, oh my gosh, there's a condition in this paperwork that says I can be there for the birth of my daughter. I'm going to be home. Like, I was like, it was all, a lot of crying took place. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be honest. I'm like, I have that side.
I'd say you're cried out at this point.
Yeah, definitely. And they were like, you have to wait. This is going to be the longest release paperwork of all time, probably. They're like, you have to wait like 4 hours. I was like, I don't here, I got my girl with me, and Pat Bear was there. Bear was there, and he was like, because he obviously saw me going in and was like, you're going to be fine, man. Like, we'll see you in no time.
The Bear's the best.
You know? And him then seeing me like, hold on, you're going home? Like, what? Everyone, it was like a sad moment because a lot of these guards had gotten to know me, and they were just like, this is just, you never like to see it, but he's probably going to be going in, and to that relief, but then that relief turned into responsibility, because I said, now with this exceptional gift that was just given to me.
You are walking a narrow ledge, sir.
Exactly. Like, I can't play with it. It's a blessing that.
And you didn't, though.
No, I didn't.
You didn't.
No, I didn't.
No.
Thankfully. Yeah, and I've got my family to thank, man. Like, how could I play with it when my morning starts? Taking my baby girl out the crib and getting her bubba and setting her up in her chair, got her breakfast on the go, got mom's breakfast on the go. My son sleeps in. That's going to change come school time. But he's got his breakfast, and I could live like that. I could start my day like that for the rest of my life, you know. Obviously, that's not the case because my kids are going to grow and they're going to be like, ew, Dad, you know. But I'm enjoying the time while I got it, and none of this would be possible if the 99.9% chance thing that was supposed to happen would have happened. It would have been a very, very different reality. And
appreciation.
It's allowed my business to grow, and I'll say it was take credit. If I'm gonna if I'm gonna hold myself accountable for all those terrible decisions I made, I should also take credit for when the right decisions are made. Mm-hmm. And I will say although the judge ultimately made it all possible with her decision, I also made the right choices to better my life.
You're allowed to be proud of that, right?
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
It all came together. And my representation, everything, it all made it possible. But that was a joyous crowd. It's very rare to see joyous courthouse crowds. It lit up. It was like walking out of there like you just got married. Like, shake hands, hug.
What a story.
Yeah.
Insane.